new video
Change
cards or
has the
something to
line.
help it move faster. But hey, we should be live. It's showing we're live, so I think we're live on the
Yay!
interwebs.
Tweet.
Welcome, y'all, to
Coming at yeah,
Plasticast.
yeah. Coming at you in living color, not the show, the format.
I
We're
like
not
that show.
we're cool, but we're not quite in living color cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I am no fly girl. I'm sorry. It's I'm not even a solid gold dancer. So there's a reference nobody will get.
I will.
You're old
Some of
like
us
me.
will.
Some of us will.
Um, yeah, we are live. It's Don, Megamus, and me. We don't know
Sideburn
where
is on assignment.
Sideburn went. We think he's MIA or something.
Yeah. He is on assignment. That's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah.
We don't know what the assignment is, but we're sure he's on it.
Mikey.
Chasing red cars. It's what he does. Anyway, we're going to be talking about a couple interesting topics this evening. The first one is talking about more or less made-to-order toys. I think with the made-to-order thing, it's a very, very interesting thing, and especially with the Arctic Hiss and this new Marvel Legends Dragon Man. I actually pulled up a picture of him. He's kind of cool looking. But I kind of want to hear you guys' thoughts on this whole made-to-order situation, what we'd like to see that comes out of it. So, I'm going to go ahead and have Don talk first, and then Megamus can think about the few things he wants, and we'll go in there.
Okay. Well, the whole made to order thing is it's not quite HasLab. It's not quite at retail. It's not a general pre-order. It's this own little weird kind of thing. But I think it's a good weird little kind of thing, like me, because it sort of fills a niche on getting products that's not really HasLab level, but they're things that they really couldn't sell at retail, even at say the Commander class price point, because not many places carry the Commander class price point as far as brick and mortar stores. What Plasticon mentioned was the Arctic Hiss, which is a somewhat stripped down version of the HasLab Hiss from about 3 years ago. Less figures, less overall gear, and no electronics. But it's also about $100 or plus cheaper. So it also is a good counterbalance to GI Joe Snowcat, which was a HasLab that finished about 6 months ago, give or take. Time, who knows how time works anymore. I keep thinking Beast Wars was like 15, 20 years ago.
You're not alone on that one.
Yeah. So I like the made to order, generally because it gives you a fairly decent window to make the decision. It gives you a chance where, again, if you miss that, I got HasLab Hiss after the fact. I was not collecting classified then. I thought it was awesome, but it wasn't until I started collecting classified after the Hiss was ended, and then I saw what all the Hiss did. I paid a late tax. I paid a very bad late tax. But I did Dononomics back down to about retail on the back end. So, I got a little lucky on that. But the Arctic Hiss gives you a chance to get something close, but not the same. So that way, y'all remember BotCon 2007, Games of Deception. We got the last of the classic Seekers. And everybody was so angry because, well, we need those Seekers and they're a BotCon exclusive. And FunPub said basically throughout the course of the whole discourse, Hasbro cannot sell 3 of the same mold in different colors to these retailers that are already sitting on the other versions of these molds. So why not use these figures to make a box set? And then when they did come out at retail a couple of years later, they were somewhat tweaked. So they're not identical to the BotCon ones. And people were up in arms because now my BotCon set is worth less. No, it's not really, unless someone was going to spend $700 on the BotCon set for 3 Seekers. I don't think the Seekers at that point were must get at any cost. With this HasLab, you're getting a slightly different version of the made to order versus the HasLab. So the people that got the HasLab aren't feeling cheated because it's less money, because it's not the same thing. Which I love. I do think this made to order is really going to be something that Hasbro's going to lean into, because it gives them a safer cushion of production without what I'm guessing is the super high mold cost of doing a new HasLab. Because the Hiss has already been paid for. The molds are done, the tooling is done. What's left now is changing your packages, gating off the molds for producing stuff that's not included with this set, and then runtime on the line. That's why it's $100 to whatever cheaper than what it was originally. So they've done it for Marvel Legends with the Dragon Man. I read Marvel for years, but I just know Dragon Man is a thing that exists. But I think this made to order can open up a lot of possibilities. Kind of like when Star Convoy came out, what I call the Titan Junior price point. You know, it's more beefy than Commander. Could not really exist imagine that Star Convoy at a Commander price. Just doesn't really work. And then, so that opens up a lot of potential at that $149 price point. And I think this made to order will allow other HasLabs, maybe this, I believe the Sky Striker done in a Tiger Force, the Rattler done in a Python Patrol. So, and believe me, that Rattler in a Python Patrol would look absolute gorgeous. They just need to add enough Python to it. Because that's the trouble with some of the figures. There's not enough Python or Tiger in the Python and Tiger Force figure.
I don't understand that either.
Yeah. But, again, they're trying to keep it a little more grounded in reality. But that's my feeling, is that I think if made to order can get us HasLab toys or other figures that are not HasLab level, and will get the budget, the paint, the sculpt, the accessories that character needs, I think that could be a definite positive for everyone that buys a Hasbro product.
So, what are your thoughts, Megamus, on this whole thing? Like, are you kind of agreeing with Don? Do you have a few caveats to that? Because I think you actually have the Hiss, don't you?
Yes. So we're not talking about HasLab or anything like that. We're talking about made to order at a smaller scale. So you don't have a $200 or $300 toy that you're GoFunding, that you're doing smaller ones. And this has not been done, correct?
No, I mean, as far as we know, it's just the Arctic Hiss and this Dragon Man is the only two that we know of.
Okay. The thing I see an issue with is I think that for a business, it's a hard sell, because if you say our goal is to sell, I don't know, 2,000 units at $300 each, there's a profit margin there. If your goal is to sell 5,000 units at half the price or a third of the price, they're going to say, well, you're and it's not that you're taking up resources of product. There's resources of manpower, distribution, storage, and I think for an executive, it would be a harder sell, and I think that's why you don't see that. So, and I also think that that's one of the reasons that HasLab, their price points are where they're at. And I get it. I mean, they're high, but I honestly believe some of that is to sell it to the higher ups, and then they the only way that they can sell it to us is they do bonuses or tiers, and that's why sometimes we get, well, every single time, I don't know of any person that's bought the HasLab products that were happy with every single tier. You always have one that goes, well, including this, I really didn't need it, or including that made me buy it. So
But like,
it
I
I think that a smaller scaled made to order would be a hard sell, but for collectors, I think it's amazing because all the stuff that I've said and pushed, why I support HasLab, is because you get items you're never gonna get. I know the price point's high, so if you could do the same thing, get the items you're never gonna get at a lower price point, I'm all for it. I just think that from a business point of view, it's a hard sell unless you can incorporate something. You had mentioned the seekers. Okay, and I'm not as up to date on the news as you are, but let's just say, seekers sell, and you decide that you're going to do these made to order seekers, and you do it as a package of one. So you only get one, but you do it 3 different times. Now, for you and I, hey, we just got 3 seekers. But for someone trying to explain this to the man upstairs, they could say, we're going to sell X amount of product and X amount of product and X amount of product. Well, why is that? Because they're a set, but you have to buy them in 3 waves. Oh, okay, so I'm guaranteed this projected profit margin or this projected numbers. Yes. A lot of people don't understand that when, I want this figure, what all goes into that. And a lot of it at the very, very beginning, and there was Simon Furman talked about it, and he was talking about ideas and pitching ideas. And if he would pitch an idea, they would shoot him down. But if he pitched an idea that could be built upon and that he could sell to them, they would okay him to do it. There's no difference between ideas and product. So if you want something, you have to explain it to where it's marketable to the higher ups. Now that was a really, really long way of saying, yes, I support the made to order. I think it's a great idea. Do I think it's as viable? It depends on how they sell it. And not just selling it to us, to sell it to the guys that make the decision. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of left field on that. What do you think, Jason?
I mean, I agree with you on the whole, like, trying to sell an idea of made to order to CEOs. The big sell point is the fact that, okay, it's a HasLab product, but we turn around and gate off things, make it a little cheaper, and then able to sell it to people again, but only so many. I think that works. But I do agree with you trying to sell that off to somebody that is in charge of numbers. They're wanting to see profit. And I think my biggest, I love this idea, but my thing is, how are you going to advertise this to everybody other than putting it on Hasbro Pulse consistently? I mean,
just
BotCon, conventions, you can probably do that on. but they need to drop like stuff on like every social outlet they can think of to get more people involved to thinking about, hey, just like they just got done doing, like Omega Prime. Well, why not do a reshoot of it in different color? Because people
Well,
like that,
they, they did, but if you remember, and um, Don and I talked about this. The hiss, and then the Arctic,
hmm
and selling that. Well, that kind of ticked people off, and then it made people happy. And so you kind of have to worry, which one's going to do better as far as adding to the numbers or taking away from the numbers. And that goes right back to what I was saying before when you're selling your ideas or your product. Yeah, promotion has to be main has to be a big portion. How are we going to market this? It's really interesting. Easy to go, or not easy, but it would be easier to go to the guys that make the final decision and say, we have these products and we want to sell them in this batch and we want to do this and this and this. And they go, well, excuse me, you're talking about multiple different products, which means people have to know about the first one before they want the fourth or fifth one. How do we market that? And if you don't have a good answer, they're going to shut you down.
Oh, yeah.
It's just as important. That's what I'm saying.
No, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, that's my thing is like, okay, you take the Arctic Hiss. Okay, so what's the next step with this mold? Like, after that, if they plan on, like, the Seeker milking it, because how many times has the Hiss been recolored in G.I. Joe? Like,
Yeah, but the other
several
thing is they have other vehicles that they can recolor and do it that way as well.
Yeah,
So
So
then
it's
you
not
jump
like
into ours. Can't we do that with the same thing?
right.
right. The thing is, there's two things that you can't take into account. There are people who bought the HasLabs that bought the HasLabs not because, now this is a very small percentage, but it does exist, I'm sure. They bought the HasLabs for the prestige of saying, I own the HasLab. This is mine. It's special. It makes me special because I own it.
I know where you're going with this. Yep.
Okay. These are the people that are going to get mad on this Arctic Hiss because
Yep.
they think it's going to devaluate what they have from a monetary standpoint. They don't have any emotional attachment, no attachment to what it represents, what part of their childhood. They may like it, but they like the prestige of owning it and also what it may bring them monetarily in the future
Investment.
versus investment versus
Yep.
being a part of their collection that they're going to enjoy out of the box on display, whatever the case may be. So they're upset. It's just like the people that were upset when the BotCon Seekers came out because they perceive the value of what they have monetarily is less. They perceive the prestige is less. They're gatekeeping and angry because this affects them from a money standpoint or a prestige standpoint. Those people are going to have to get over themselves because
And
Yes, I
because
agree.
this. I'm going to use another example as well. This Arctic Hiss existing does not make your regular Hiss completely redundant. I'm going to give another example. There's a show on Netflix called One Piece. Okay. I have never wanted to get into the manga because it's been running for 20 plus years. I've never wanted to get into the anime. It's been running for 20 plus years. I know it's a thing that exists, and that's all I ever cared about. They came out with a live action adaptation on Netflix. My wife, who is by no means anything like me when it comes to sci-fi, fantasy, we tried watching Fellowship of the Rings. He didn't care because the pacing was too slow
Thank you.
because of the world building. But again, it's the world building that doesn't bother me up to a certain point.
I didn't like any of them.
And
I
so,
love
but
the
she likes this One Piece because the world is new, it's vibrant. The characters come alive. The sets are incredible. The action is well directed and choreographed. I know, as an anime fan, there's a lot of stuff being streamlined that, but I don't know what I'm missing. As long as what's presented to me on screen is entertaining and wants me to watch more, I'm happy. It's X-Men 9, it's X-Men the animated series. They took all that stuff out of all those X-Men storylines that they adapted for the cartoon and gave you, this is what you need to know. I'm saying that to say this. There are people out there ragging on the live action version because it's not doing what the animated version does. It's not doing what the manga does. Okay, that's fine. If you don't like it, that's your prerogative. But don't try to gatekeep and shoot down anyone that says, hey, I like this. Because that's what they're doing. They're trying to keep people from liking it because it's not what they want. Their one piece is the only way it should be. It's the same thing with this HasLab stuff. Their hiss is the only way that it should be. It can't be anything else. I want to basically use like a meme. Like, oh my gosh, I had to choose between two cakes. It's like, no, wow, I've got two cakes. I mean, it's just how you look at it. Now, I will agree with Megamus. How it's presented, some things you have to present. You just can't say, this is the made to order, here's all the stuff. Because you're going to have to tailor this stuff. It's like, we don't want the hiss to turn into a Seeker mold. We don't want it to be Make Toys, Seekers, different color every TF con. No, nobody wants that. But if it does fit, and they can do a Python Patrol, they can redo the Rattler as a Python Patrol Rattler. I think there was a Tiger Force version of the Rattler, I believe. So they can mix it up and present it at certain times during the course of the year as slots open up, as interest is shown. But these recolors, these new versions, don't affect what you already own. It has absolutely nothing to do with... Because if someone's going to buy a Tiger Force Rattler, that's a very specific thing that has nothing to do with your original Rattler, except it's the same mold. So gatekeeping this to keep people from enjoying this is dumb. Doesn't do anything but hurt the fandom. But Hasbro's going to have to know when it's time for a smaller made-to-order, let's say a Marvel Legends. Let's take one of my holy grails, the Neo Knights. I have been wanting Circuit Breaker and the Neo Knights in Marvel Legends since the Toy Biz days. Circuit Breaker's owned by Hasbro. The Neo Knights themselves, I think it's like a ROM situation where Marvel owns all the history of the Space Knights. They don't own anything about Rom himself. This could be the same situation. They don't. Marvel owns Circuit.
Correct.
Yeah, Marvel owns Circuit.
It has to do with Marvel in the comics. Yes, correct.
Yeah. So Marvel owns Circuit Breaker because she appeared in Secret Wars 2 first before Transformers. But the Neo Knights, maybe they're a Hasbro. But anyway, if they said, we're doing you a made-to-order Marvel Legends set of the 4 Neo Knights, but we didn't get Circuit Breaker, would I be disappointed? Yes. Would I still buy them? Hell yes. If they market it correctly, and like you were saying at conventions, Jason, whatever convention Hasbro is at, if they do, let's say they show up at a convention Megamus is doing next week, and they got a Hasbro booth, and they say, be the first, sign up now. Python Patrol Rattler. You're right there. You're announcing it. Word of mouth will spread like wildfire. They dropped something on your own. Does JoJo.com still exist?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right, Yoja. I thought they had closed. I wasn't sure.
No,
Then you,
as far as I've seen, they're still
yeah.
up.
And so so all the GI Joe websites, all the GI Joe influencers on YouTube, you send them a press release and say, "Hey, you've got a channel. You want to cover the news? Here's some free news for you." That's how you advertise. Because all it takes is you dropping a video online, preferably not Instagram, because not everybody has Instagram. Because I don't want another social media platform. I'm social enough as it is. I work retail, so advertising is, if you do it smart, you can pay very little for advertising and get a lot more than what you did pay for if you do it right. So I don't think getting the word out is going to be a problem. This internet thing, it's everywhere. You drop it right, you make sure the information is correct, and let it do its thing. Just make sure, if it's Transformers related, make sure the damn thing is transformed right. Or if it's
Yeah,
a GI Joe thing, make sure all your wings are attached and your weapons are right. And like, does this look like what we want people to buy? Oops, the plane's backwards. Let's fix that first. That's my view. I honestly think, as long as people realize something new, reimagined, is not. It's like if that yellow Optimus Fire convoy came out as an homage to the Sam's Club version.
hmm
Would I be mad that, oh no, my one of my three fire convoys is going to be worthless? No, I'm getting freaking yellow fire convoy. There's nothing wrong with that in any world. But people will make it like that because they're losing the prestige.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of the things I was thinking about was like, okay, if they got all this tooling already done, let's talk about one of the elephants in the room, Unicron. That thing's tooling was insane. What if they decided to release it in the toyetic colors that it was going to be released in, the 80s? What if they decided to release it in, I don't know, the Energon colors where he's black and green and such? Or even do a full green one like the Lucky Draw as a Unicron like that. I don't think anybody that's a big fan of Unicron is going to cry about it. Like you said, I think the people are going to complain of like, well, this is going to cause my Unicron not to be worth this. My thing is, buying things for resale value is not really the smartest move to do, especially if it's a made-to-order or HasLab thing. I don't think it's a good idea. You can sometimes flip it and get the money, but 9 times out of 10, you're sitting on that toy for months before you even sell it. Sometimes a couple of years. Because this happened back when you guys are probably familiar with Lego, when they did all their modular buildings, right? All these people would go out and they'd buy 2 or 3 of this modular building set. Then they'd hang on to 2 of them and just not use them. And then later on, 3 or 4 years, yeah, you can probably make the money back. But at the time when they purchase it, that's money they have to put up front and hope they get back later. And I've never been a supporter of that kind of thing. I don't think it's cool because to me it's also taken away from the market of people that really want the item and they can't get hold of the item because someone's stockpiling them. But
How so?
like I think like if somebody stockpiles like Unicrons, say they bought 3 or 4 of them, right?
Right.
And okay, they have one for their own collection, but then they turn right back around almost immediately after it's come off the burner and turn around and try to sell them. There are people sitting for months on those things because a lot of these people didn't have the money to put toward it, and the money. I've seen the increase in value on it, but
All right.
you got people that say if they did a different color of that Unicron here soon or whatever, because they're going to do the made order, correct? Well, what if they do it in a different color? then all these people that stockpiled the original ones are going to be angry because they can't turn around and flip them, because you can go buy a new one, may not be the same color, say it's the animated colors versus what it is. And you see what I'm getting at? Some people might be like, why am I going to spend this on this when I can spend this and get this one cheaper than the aftermarket on...
Hang on a minute. I'm sorry. Let me get clarification, because you kind of confused me.
Okay.
Because you talked about stockpiling, then you talked about recolors, then you talked about investment.
Right.
3 different things.
Yeah. Well, the
okay. Let me just focus on the one thing that kind of chirped my ear up.
Okay.
And I would like to talk about for a minute. So I'm going to ask you the question again. And I'll pick Unicron. When Unicron first came out and people bought more than one, or stockpiled, as you said, are you against that or for that?
I've always been against that, because to me, I think it causes artificial bloat in numbers, and then people later on have a lot of difficulty trying to get hold of it.
Okay, so here's my throwback to you. You're talking about a product that has a window, that has a lifespan, and that if not enough people buy it, that lifespan is gone. If enough people buy it and back it, and then because you couldn't afford it during that time, you're now allotted the opportunity to buy it at a inflated price. Whereas opposed, if they hadn't bought it, it may not have been funded, then no one would get it, or they didn't, and now this guy, there's none out there, he has no opportunity to buy it. How is that a bad thing?
I mean, the way
I know I'm throwing it back and I'm being the bad guy in the room.
I see your point. In that way, I don't see it as a bad thing. Where I see it as a bad thing is the fact that, like,
thank you.
We were just talking about the Arctic Hiss, coming out. That's basically a neutered remold or neutered reuse of the mold that they use for the regular Hiss. I'm saying if they did the same thing with the Unicron, how angry, pardon me, how angry do you think people would be about their Unicron, thinking, oh, well, now this thing isn't worth half as much as it is because they shot the mold again in a slightly different color,
Thank you. Okay, so wait a minute.
That's my question. Like,
hang on. We just had a viewer talk about unnecessarily charging more for, like, the Unicron. I'm just going to stick with the Unicron because let's just go with one thing and try and kind of play this whole thing through. And I'm like, why is it not necessary? Because you yourself just said two key factors. One, what if no one wants it? Now you're stuck with a product that you just paid hundreds of dollars for. Mm-hmm. That's a risk. Okay. Number 2, what if they recolor it? And in doing so, the product that you invested in, which he says is unnecessarily, is worthless. You've lost it there. There's a gamble. Now, don't get me wrong. I know what he means by unnecessary and unreasonable. And Daniel Collins, I got you here. I'm just using you because it makes this flow easier. I get it. There's a difference between providing a service for a price and gouging. I get that. That might be a good topic for another day. But going back to our topic here, I am sorry, but I don't see a problem with someone buying multiples and making a little money to afford the option of people that didn't have the option then of being able to buy it. Not only that, because it also increases the sponsorship to get the product made. And like with the Prime they just did, okay? The RID Prime. I had no interest in that, okay? I didn't subscribe to it. I don't care, but if someone had done that so that Don could get his RID Prime, or Mike could get his RID. Wonderful. Just because it doesn't apply to me doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Okay? Just like with everyone else, if Unicron, it didn't apply to them, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It applies to someone else. So universally, I don't see a problem with that. You're allotted the opportunity to buy it at this price. It's not like, okay, Don, you're allowed to buy one. Jason, you're not. Okay, Don, you're allowed to buy two. Jason, you're not. Now, Don, if you want to inflate the price and sell it to Jason, fine. That's not the case. Now, I do know that there were some issues with Hasbro polls and overseas and all that. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to go on the basis that you're providing a product that everyone is allotted, and you bought extra, and now people that didn't have the financial capability of buying it, that's your FOMO. You know, I missed out. I have to pay more. Now, I say this as the person that did not buy a Unicron and is regretting it, and now I have to pay more. But I'm not upset about it. I understand. So I'm not on the front end of this. I'm on the back end of it, but I do understand it.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess my biggest thing was, you know, you got guys, like I said, that will buy and stockpile like that. I have the original run, okay, but then they reshoot it in a different. Maybe they just do it in a slight different hue of, you know, the gray isn't as gray. Maybe it's a little more blue, you know. And say you, Magnus, like that one. But you have a friend of yours that has 2 or 3 of the other one. And you're like, well, I kind of like this one because it's the only one I have a room for, you know. And plus it'll be cheaper. So then it kind of hits the wallet, like you said, like a gamble, for somebody to say, well, I'm not going to get the original run because the new one fixes a lot of the QC issues too, you know, which is a possibility because that does happen with second run toys. Sometimes they take in that feedback, especially when it comes to HasLabs type of things. And I could really see them doing it with the Omega Prime, like, you know, Don was talking about, like it had like the yellow convoy. I'm sorry, I personally like the yellow convoy a lot. I think it's an awesome color on that fire truck. I think it'd be cool to get.
Oh, the Sam's version?
Yeah, I love the color of that one.
Absolutely, was amazing.
And
that one of the best recolors they ever did, in my opinion.
Right, and so I'm saying, well, what if they do that as a made to order? There's going to be a lot of people who are going to jump on that because they have nostalgia for that yellow one versus the red one.
Well, and then there's another neat thing about that, and I think we touched on it. Okay, so your Omega Prime you missed out on, and you don't want to pay what you consider to be inflated, which probably is, price, and they come out with the yellow one. Well, you know, maybe I didn't have an attachment with the yellow one, but I still have a chance of getting that mold at what they would consider to be a fair value, which we're not going to go into Hasbro and fair value anyway. But you see what I'm saying? So it also allots people that missed out the opportunity to at least get the mold, at least something.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with that. And as far as, and this coming from someone that has sold toys for, oh my God,
years,
over 25 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're worried about your precious devaluing because they made another recolor, then you're in it for one of two things. If you're in it for collecting, you're fooling yourself if you're worried about the value. And I can show you a bunch of G1 Primes and Fort Maxes that everyone was worried about because they knocked them off and they thought the value, and I'm like, I don't care, I got mine. That's the difference between a true a collector and someone that's in it for the investment.
Mm-hmm.
There's that. So,
but I think that's what it is.
I know I'm kind of flip-flopping, but I'm trying to get the point out there that, I mean, if someone is buying that stuff to make a little bit of cabbage because they put forth the effort, but ultimately it allows someone that couldn't get it to begin with, that probably would never get it, but did get it, and they're okay with the price, i.e., not gouging, I do not see a problem with that.
Okay. Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I think when it comes to Unicron is the best example we have of getting that mold back out in another form that could sell very well to people who didn't or couldn't get it the last time, or like say the Energon version better than the regular. I think that is a perfect example. I think it's also the thing that we can expect to not be done. It's a perfect hypothetical to see all of the aspects of this made to order, but I truly and honestly think, now I could be proven wrong, it's not going to happen. It's too big, it's too complex, it's too many parts. And look how much the world has changed now versus when Unicron came out. The inflation, the cost of production.
Could you imagine what producing that figure now would cost?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God.
So I think, and I'm going to give credit. We were talking about this. Vangelis and the crew over at WTF and TFW covered something like this in their last episode, and they were estimating if this happened, it would be close to $1,000 because of everything that's happened in the world between then and now.
And that's retail.
And that's what retail would be to get
Correct.
it. So I think Unicron is a perfect example of seeing how all the pieces would work, but it's a thing that will. It's like a black hole. You know, it's this thing that is massive and it's grand, and you can see all the moving parts of how it would work, but it's not going to be done because of those inflated costs of production, freight, tariffs, and everything else. So I think from an academic standpoint, it's a great discussion topic.
Sure.
But I honestly don't think we would see a Unicron redone. It has the HasLab Unicron redone. What we could see is maybe taking that engineering,
Don't say
simplifying it, not precisely downsizing it, but we could get a Titan scale Unicron in maybe the original colors, maybe the Energon version. So that way, when he's in planet mode, he's a Titan. He's going to be big. That could, because we've seen them take this MPG Optimus that's coming out now. It has hints of MP01, MP10, and MP44 if you start breaking it down. So they could possibly take HasLab Unicron and turn it into a Titan 200 to 229 figure that would be so many people's their Unicron who could not afford that. But I just don't see the HasLab Unicron coming back out in any feasible fashion. As unfortunate as it is.
Yeah,
I will disagree and agree with you. I think that they could come out. Yeah, that's a partial. I think that yes, they could come out with something. I think yes, it would be more simplified or downsizing. But 100% that was my disagreement, in that it would have to be simplified or downside. The agreement would be that I agree with you. I don't see them ever putting out the same product, even if it's a recolor now.
Yeah, because that is too much.
It's not feasible.
Yeah, it's too much everything in one package. There's nothing to really gut. There's nothing to really. You can't
Not
take
without
much.
changing it. You would
Yeah,
have to change it too much. Yeah.
you can't gut the electronics from Unicron and make any significant cost difference like you would
No.
with the Hiss to the Arcticus, because the electronics in Unicron are so minor.
Yeah.
It's
You're
five
talking about
ten bucks.
the cheapest feature of that whole thing, because the most
Exactly.
expensive
Yeah,
is one, the size,
the
and then
plastic,
the transformation in and of itself.
and
So
then
yeah,
the
every
shipping, the box.
it's funny. It's funny they talk about if man, this is going to be a big one. I'm going to whiz back real quick. When they did the Star Wars Imperial Troop Transport, okay, and they put that was the little gray little held six figures, and it had the little you push the button and made all the noises and
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay, it was the dumbest thing. It was never seen in Star Wars. It was seen in Mandalorian, by the way. Boom. And when I believe it was Sears, I think at the time it was Sears, when they did their exclusive, they wanted to dummy down the cost and everything, so they got rid of the electronics. Back then, electronics were more expensive than the plastic and the tooling, so it made a
Right.
significant difference. Now, you're talking pennies on the dollar for this. So yes, by gutting it, it's not going to make a difference. It's too big. It's too expensive to ship. Nowadays, it's going to be too much plastic to produce. And honestly, you still go back to the higher ups are still going to say to themselves, "Man, it's so big. Who in the right mind was going to put something that big?" So you still have that doubt.
Yeah.
So I don't see it being produced in other colors, and I don't see it reissued.
Right. So I think it's sort of like whenever I see a list and someone says, "Name your favorite Optimus." To be fair, you need to take MP01, MP10, and MP44 off the list, because that's going to skew everything towards them. I think if you're discussing this made to order stuff, Unicron needs to come off of the list to be a better looking field of play, because it's just not going to happen.
A more realistic feel of play, yes,
Yeah, that's a better way of looking at it.
correct. I agree.
Because
So
I'm sitting there trying to think, like, Transformers wise, for like reuse of molds, what would you use Death Stars as?
the red version from Brave,
Yeah.
take out if you could gate off one of the breast animals. 'Cause I think Brave version. I haven't actually watched. What was he from? Goldoran or
Well,
X Kaiser?
I think it was
I
X
should,
Kaiser.
I should know this. I don't. If they can gate off one of the breast animal that wasn't in there.
It was the
If he
small
did,
one that was inside of his chest, right? It wasn't the big one.
yeah, yeah. So if they could do that, take off one to make, because that would actually make it more accurate to that version of the character, unless taking it off would actually add to the cost because of the way it's all molded and stuff. That's a possibility right there, getting the red version. But again, that is so neat to so few people. It's like the red Scorponok. Could they redo Titan Scorponok as that red version? Sure. 5 out of 100 people might know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. So they're going to have to do the stuff that makes sense from their financial standpoint, and that the average Transformer customer will recognize. Yeah,
That's-
we've
That's why
we've
I
had
brought
stuff
up
like
Omega Prime, because he'd be like the key one to probably do that with.
right. So yeah, it's what they pick and how they present it is going to be just as much of a factor as the cost. Because if they pick the wrong thing or they present it wrong, doesn't matter how much it is. If it looks like a cash grab and not we're all willing to see another
Oh,
use of a mold.
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. When you were saying costs, you're talking about production costs versus.
No, what I'm saying is, if they use a figure or whatever the case may be, and it's just a lazy repaint, it doesn't fit the mold. It's like what they were doing in the 2010s, using names on characters that made that was nothing just to keep the name trademark. If they color, the hiss in a color it never was, or color the Rattler in a color that it never was, or if they gave a G2 paint job to Jabba's sail barge and redid that.
I'll buy that.
Okay.
It's
Well,
not. It doesn't make any sense, and it's just going to be a cash grab, like the Tron set. That Tron set should have never existed at that price for what you got. It makes no sense for them to put that much money into something that failed so spectacularly. So they're going to have to be smart on what they present, how they present it, as far as everything else, and present it at a price that I'm willing to pay $199 for an Arctic Kiss. I don't mind it doesn't have the extra figures and electronics, because then I've got something to go with my Snowcat. That's fine.
I wonder, are they ever going to repaint the Snowcat, though? Because the Snowcat was in Tiger Force as well.
Yeah. See, I
That would
think
be
what they're going to
awesome.
do.
the
I
cat.
think that's what they're going. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do is, with this Arctic Kiss being successful, and they did reuse these vehicles in other colors in Real American Hero. So this Arctic Kiss is setting a precedence for us getting other scaled down versions, like the Snowcat. No Lady J, no Duke, no tent set, and all that stuff. A driver, a couple of accessories, maybe like just accessory pack X, and don't have all the extra stuff that was included for say $199 or whatever the case may be. So I think that sets a precedence. Transformers is a little bit trickier because Transformers, they're a character. So what they release needs to be a good representation of that character, or as I said, it's a cash grab. It's lazy. You're just trying to get money for something thinking our FOMO will kick in.
For the higher price stuff, yes. For the lower price stuff, sometimes it's just marketing, like you said, to keep a trademark.
The only other one I could think of is the Lio Kaiser that's coming out. But only 4 of those members would actually be used as the rescue force.
Right. I mean,
And they could do a 4-pack of just those guys, which they can pretty much not even have to gate off, but probably completely omit certain bits to make that work. I know some people wouldn't like that idea, but if they did it and it allowed them to do a made to order for some of the G2 guys and European G1 1.5 guys that want those guys, I don't see an issue with that. I think that's kind of cool because at least
they
there's an
they
opportunity
could
to use it.
they could do another reissue of Leo Kaiser. And the way they would do it is they would do a Rescue Force fan. Because I have done it, and there's many, many, many out there. There are actually 2 figures, and they are KOs, and they are more in the Rescue Force color, which would be Autobot, and they make their own Autobot Leo Kaiser, for lack of a better name. So they could do it.
yeah.
There is a way to do it, and
Yeah.
but then you're stretching that fiction. And anytime you stretch the fiction, because if you go to Hasbro and you go to the CEOs or whatever, they're going to say, "Is Optimus Prime in it? Is Bumblebee in it? Well, then why do I want it?"
Mhm.
And that's why you always see those two, because those are the ones that these individuals relate to because they don't have the lore.
Right.
But having said that, 100%, any character that is made, whether it be by for a made to order or a convention has to have something behind it for it to make sense.
For example, power core combiners. There was no fiction. There was nothing to support it, so no one really knew what to do with it. That's
I
why I've
love the
always
line. That was me. I'm the weirdo.
yeah. No, 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 no. But I'm just saying that's why I have always stressed the fiction for the botcon sets was one of the most important things because it gave you
I'm
an
glad you
idea.
said it.
It was one of the most important things because it gave you a sense of what this is the only glance we got into this world. So having that fiction there gave the characters weight and depth and meaning. Why should we care about them as characters, even if it's just that one comic or that one subsequent prose story that the fan club did? You know,
Well, let me ask you this. And Don, give it a minute before you answer, because I
okay,
think you know.
okay.
When it comes to the Bocon sets and them coming up with a boxed idea, do you think they come up with the idea first or the figures first?
I think it's a mix of both.
No.
And I'll, well, no, I'll tell you why. I mean, I know you've got more insider information on that than I do, but I'm just saying from with what Lenny has talked about
Sure.
about having to pivot based on the molds available. They
Exactly.
haven't. I think they have an idea of what they would like to do, and then they see what's available from Hasbro for the show that they can and or will run, and then they pivot around that idea, trying to combine both into one entity to give us that set. So I
So,
think so. That's the way I've always felt based on what Lenny has said, what everyone else, what everyone else's Fun Pub has said, that they know what they want to do, but the toys is going to make them have to pivot if they can't get X, Y, Z, or if they can't get Paint X, all that. That's
okay,
the way
so
I feel.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of like chicken before the egg, or
Which came
cart
first?
before the horse type thing. Yes and no, because they there's times when wonderful ideas, although I might not think it's wonderful, whatever, ideas come up, and because the molds are not available and it doesn't make sense, they shelve the idea in lieu of the toy that's available. So with that in mind, the toys that are available dictate the theme. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They might
Because
have three themes or four themes, but based upon the items that are available, they go with this one or that one or whatever.
right.
So yeah, and it really is one of those things that 100%. It was what was allowed to be made or what was available dictated the themes,
Well, that's
because
Right.
some themes got pushed back years because of what was available.
well,
Does that make sense?
yeah, that does make a lot of sense to me, because now that I think about it, it's like back when I had the G2 box set, I never
Oh, the
understood.
Redux.
Yeah, the Redux, loved it, but I never understood why is there an Energon shark in here? What's this? This isn't G2. The colors were great, but it just felt weird. I was like, it's kind of a third wheel hanging around. Like, what is this for? You know? And I never
Well, let me ask
understood
you
that. I
this:
know it's in the
if you're
con,
doing a if you're
but
doing a
I'm
if
just
you're
like,
doing a
what is strange?
five if you're doing a 5 bot set and 4 go along with the idea you have in mind, what do you do with that fifth? But that fifth would work with the other set that you only have like 2 available. Okay, well then you go with the one that has the 4 because it makes more sense. And then you just kind of throw another one in there, and then you have to backstory why it makes sense to have that in the set.
Right.
And that's happened multiple times. Very few times, and it has happened, to where a figure was brought out knowing it was going to be useful in a future set. And that wasn't until later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the figures available definitely dictated the theme of that year's show. And we're talking about a narrow view of one show. So I'm not saying that's not how it always was, or how it is for all of them, or whatever. But getting back to what we were saying before, you can kind of use that the same way. If we're doing this made to order, and people want this character, or this character, and this character, and it makes it to Hasbro, and they say, well, how can these all be together? Kind of like my Seeker I was talking about, to where someone would want all of them. Then that makes more sense to invest in that than the shark in the Redux set to them. I kind of went kind of far with that, but you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, ultimately, I mean, Hasbro, they sell toys. Why do they sell toys? So they can make money. It's money. How do we make the money? We got to make the majority happy. We got to make the majority happy to where they'll buy X, Y, and Z, not just X. And then when an X product comes out that they're really questionable about, but they're really adamant about pushing it, and the group that are there now are really good about that, hence why we got Leo Kaiser. They say, well, throw it up in the GoFundMe, and if it funds, you got it.
Yeah, it's one of I understand the team they have there is doing a really good job with this, but I'm just sitting there trying to think, like, for the made to order for Transformers, the window is extremely small. G.I. Joe,
yeah, unless you create a product line, quote unquote, that would make it feasible that someone would want to buy the multiples, then you could build on that.
Well, I'm just going to comment on what Jason was saying about the G2 set. I know people in my close circle of friends that have said this is not G2 because of X, Y, and Z. It's also the spirit that that particular set is invoking. Yes, maybe this set is not exactly the G2 you would think of, but it is at its heart a G2 set.
We have the homage, of course.
Yes. So yeah. So I'm not saying you're wrong, Jason. I'm just saying some of this stuff they're trying to put in a box so it fits what they think it should be, rather than just letting it exist on its own, which I think clouds a lot of people's viewpoint on some of this stuff. That's also why whenever there's a radical departure in Transformers, Beast Wars, Beast Machines, animated, whenever there's a major pivot from G1, you get the backlash, you get the naysayers, you get the ruin forever people. And
also
that's what hurts.
Hot Wheels.
That's what hurts this fandom. Is everyone says, if y'all ever watched MASH, they're in the finale, Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen. There's a scene where Hawkeye's in the table, in the mess hall, and all they have is fish and liver for like weeks and weeks and weeks. He says, we want something else. We want something else. And that's what the fandom does. They scream that they want something new and exciting and bold. And if it's not G1, people come out of the woodworks complaining how it's not what we want, but we wanted something different, and you've got something different, and you don't want it. You can't have it both ways.
Hey, Don, I'm just going to say something, and it probably will make you laugh, but you'll know that I saw the episode. Mm-hmm. A river of liver and an ocean of fish.
Ocean of fish. Yes, that's the line. That's the line from MASH. Goodbye, farewell, and amen. And they thought, and Seinfeld thought they were going to bust that rating.
MASH. I love that.
Yeah.
Another story, but I do love that show.
Yeah. So I think all that ties back to this. As we see more made to order stuff, if it's not for you, fine. It's not going to make what you love suddenly vanish into the ether. You will still own what you want. Someone else will get what they want. Hasbro will make money, which is what they want, and will get more stuff. It's the same thing in people saying, oh, they did that figure. That took a slot for my figure. We're getting tons of crap. We're getting really solid product overall for the most part. Yeah, maybe this figure is what was needed to make this wave balance out from a budget and profit standpoint. So, yeah, this one figure you may not have wanted. It's a Legacy Skids remold. Okay, no one really wants that. Sorry, Skids, I love you. I don't need no more of that mold. But I'm getting 4 or 5 other figures that I may want. That didn't take a spot. It was a spot that they put a figure in to make everything work. Could your figure have done that? Maybe. Or maybe the money they make from this wave is going to pay for tooling to get your figure. I'm older than most anybody watching this. I'm older than most everybody on this podcast. I'm the oldest person on RFC. I have been waiting for some of this shit for a very, very long time. And me hating that I don't have it isn't going to do me any good. I don't have my Neo Knights. I don't have Circuit Breaker. Marvel Legends, I don't have Power Pack. I don't have Slingers. But I do have Thunderstrike. I have a Night Thrasher for New Warriors. I have a Quasar, for God's sake. I'm happy that I've gotten the characters that I like. Yeah, real A-listers there, folks. I even got Cloak and Dagger. So, don't hate people for getting something that you don't like or you don't want and then penalizing them for liking it. Everybody can win. No one has to lose. Everybody can win. Okay, you don't want this Arctic Hiss. You have your regular Hiss. They sell it. They make money. They'll do more stuff. And chances are they'll do something down the road that you wouldn't have gotten because they didn't have the money to do that. Or this did not prove the concept worked.
I want a septic tank.
Oh, God, Brian would absolutely...
I want a freaking septic tank. Like
oh,
all they have to
Brian
do really
wants...
is make a freaking shield, like the window portion, and you're done.
Brian wants... he wants the entire Eco-Force. He wants the whole thing. And I can't blame him. Because that was G.I. Joe's G2, basically, if you look at it.
Like, them just doing Ninja Force Zartan, going into Ninja Force, is literally the beginning of that, and I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
And if they have to remold some of these figures or leave certain bits and pieces out to keep doing that, do that. Most of us will buy that crap all day because that's the stuff we want.
Yeah. So let's not gatekeep. Let's not put people... Don't put me down because I like Netflix One Piece. Because it's in a format that I want to enjoy. Yeah, my 55-year-old anime watching brain says, I know there's a lot left out. But what I'm getting is quality. I can follow the story. I'm meeting these super interesting characters. I am enjoying a show with my wife, and we are having fun. And I am buying the figure arts, but that's neither here nor there.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm waiting for their own sale though. So as this made to order grows, as it encompasses other Hasbro lines, you can't hate someone for getting what they want because yours is not affected. It didn't take a spot. It's a company trying to stay alive, trying to make money to keep making toys. You may not like it. You may grumble that it's whatever the case may be. Guess what? We don't need none of this shit. Look behind me. Look behind me. I don't need none of this. I want to be dead before all of y'all. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this stuff. But I enjoy it while I'm here. And
I'm
I'm
not
not
your
gonna-
will.
Well, I figured you'd be the one that kills me to get my stuff. So there's that. But I am not going to be that kind of person. I refuse to be so full. I am full of piss and vinegar. I'm old. I know that. But I am not going to say, hey, you shouldn't like that because it's not what I like. I like Captain Planet. How do you think I feel when I have to mention that?
Dude,
I get
love
weird
Captain
looks.
Planet.
I know.
Haters
The
can
thing
hate all
is,
they
we
want.
all like different things. Even if let's say you don't like Cowboys and Moo Mesa. I love those in cell figures. I think those in cell figures are some of the best figures I've gotten in a long time. The size of the figures, the amount of accessories, for $5 more than your average Black Series figure. I am ecstatic to get a lot of the Super 7 stuff. I know Super 7 has limitations, but I just recently got several of the Silverhawks, Melodia. I have wanted ever since the line started to go with Bluegrass. Flashback, one of my favorite characters in the whole show. Him and Hotwing. I would love to see a buddy cop with them. A episode with just them two in it if it ever came back. So, yeah, I get grief on liking Super 7. Okay? But that's just it. We all have stuff other people like, other people don't. But it's all for fun. As terrible as this world is right now, with so much out of our control, I'm not Q, you're not Discord. We can't snap our fingers and change anything. But we can enjoy our hobby. Don't make other people not want to be part of the hobby because you're too narrow-minded to say, hey, I don't like what you like. But if you like it, good on you, man.
That's something I cannot disagree with one bit. What do you think, Magnus?
I don't know, man. I had to go to the bathroom. I came back, and you guys were talking about some crazy crap there. About the only thing I got out of that was about how old you are in this. And all I'm going to say is this much. I am extremely offended that I'm considered in the senior class, but I will take every discount at a restaurant I'll get.
I got the discount at Ross and didn't even
Heck
know it
yeah,
2 months
take
ago.
that crap.
I didn't even know it.
I am not a senior, but I'll take it.
I looked at it like, hey, I bought
Shut up,
the
Jason.
item. I bought the item. I bought it to flip. That
I
extra
don't
5%.
care.
That
I'm
extra
entitled
5%
to
increase
it.
my profit margin. I don't care about that. But
I'm entitled.
Yeah. Well, and Magnus, you can also solve that problem by keeping a Coke bottle there at the desk. An empty Coke bottle by the desk. That's neither here nor there.
It wasn't pee.
Okay. But I don't mean I'm going to put my soapbox
You
up.
started it.
I know. I'm just saying that as this made-to-order stuff becomes more popular, not just with Hasbro, with I'm sure Mattel. Look at all the line. Look at Masters of the Universe. How much stuff can they do made-to-order? Like if they took the She-Ra body from the Origins with the Swift Wind, that was like $60, and retool it into the Princesses of Power She-Ra. Maybe that's not your She-Ra. That's fine. That could be someone else's She-Ra.
Yeah.
You know, so as these companies move to this made to order, it's somewhat less risk for them, and they're getting a reuse of a previous already paid for item. Let's just see what happens, and let's not throw a hissy fit.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's a great idea. I mean, I've always been one of those kind of people that reuse molds if you can. It's a waste to me to spend all that money on a mold and then let it just sit and rot. And then that becomes a boat anchor.
Yeah. Now, some stuff has licensing issues, like Avio Swerve. I would love to see that Avio Swerve mold used again. for something because it's such. Even if engineering is a little dated at this point, it's such an interesting figure, but they can't because it's owned by Chrysler. I think it's Chrysler, so they can't use it again.
Yeah.
But other than that, if you can reuse it and it fits the character that you're doing and it makes sense at a price that is not obviously a cash grab like that Tron set, then do it. We don't have to buy it, but I will respect you for trying to fill that slot. It's like Combiner Wars Lyle Kaiser. I know it has issues. You know it has issues. Yeah, it made Megamus back away in horror and knock over stuff there. But they tried.
Dogs.
Yeah, they with that Combiner Wars Lyle Kaiser, for all of how far it is away from being Lyle Kaiser, they tried to give us a Lyle Kaiser with what they had, and I applaud them for them trying to get. Yes, it was another use of the molds,
Mm-hmm.
but they tried, and I will always be grateful for trying to get us stuff. They're better now on trying to make sure the character fits the toy, but I still appreciate that Lyle Kaiser for even existing, even if it's not perfect.
It's got its charm. That's one thing I
Yeah,
can't say about it. It has charm,
yeah.
and it's kind of
It's
like,
Skylinks looks great in those colors. It's
yeah,
like, wow, that really worked for Skylinks.
it's very surprising how they were able to pull that off. But Mike Royal was also asking, Matty Collector, were they made to order?
Sorry. You said
The
you said Matty
the
Collector, and I had to come
the
here.
collector,
Well, I'm
the
sorry, but
natty
if
collector, the natty one, not the Matty, the
if
Nats. You know the Nat. Yeah.
oh, the natural light collectors. Okay. Uh, I don't. I was only collecting DC Universe Classics at the time. Still a phenomenally wonderful line. I wish people looked back at it more. Um, but we got figures in that line McFarlane will never do. We got Samurai, we got Black Vulcan, we got a lot of the superpowers characters that we will never get from McFarlane's Batman and his amazing Bat Family line. But I don't remember any made to order. The biggest thing I recall them doing is the Legion of Superheroes set in the big whatever. It was like the Legionnaire headquarters, and you had 12 figures, but there were 13 slots because one slot was empty, and that was reserved for Invisible Boy,
Mhm.
which to this day I think is absolutely hilarious that they included an empty slot in the packaging, and it was labeled Invisible Boy. Um,
That's
I don't
creativity.
recall. Yeah, I don't recall any made to orders, but again, that was almost 12 to 14 years ago when DC Universe Classics was a thing. So I may be misremembering.
So, yeah, I really don't remember if Matty Collector was a made to order. I remember back when the Voltron came out, you could pre-order, but I didn't remember if it was actually a made to order thing. Because I mean, Hasbro's the only ones I know is even starting to do this, and I would like to see Mattel do this as well. I would like to see a lot of this kind of become made to order. So that way, not a lot of people are being disappointed, especially with the distribution of things. Um, I think it kind of keeps people from having to struggle so much on that. But yeah, reuse these molds because who's going to use them in 30, 40 years from now? Nobody. Like, nobody, unless they're doing knockoffs. Which I'd be honestly really, really curious to see what the heck a knockoff would look like from these molds. I mean, it can't be like you got the septic tank. That'd be an interesting one to do as a knockoff if they decide to do some kind of knockoffy thing. But we've seen worse,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we've also seen better. So I think Mega Mista had to mute because he's got puppy problems.
Puppy issues. Puppy power.
Yes.
And then he mutes again. um, but yeah, one little thing I'm going to talk about before we bounce out of here is the HasLab communication issues. Like, I know Megadus wanted to talk about this, and Hasbro wanted to talk about this, and I agree with him with this. There needs to be more
Dang it.
communication. We love dogs. I love dogs. I know some people love
All right.
cats. I love both.
I have two German Shepherds. One's almost 100 pounds. The other's 130. They're big dogs. And when they bark and just when they go to go outside, they hit everything. And I'm sorry. I try, but that was like real quick. I try. So while they're out going to the bathroom, I'm going to hit mine real quick and mute so they don't interrupt again. As far as Hasbro Pulse, because we're talking about all this made to order, this, that, and the other, and one of the biggest ones out there, unfortunately for us, fortunately or unfortunately, is Hasbro Pulse. And I'm a big advocate of it. Like I said, we get the items that we want that we never get, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Problems, yes. And if I had to, there's QC this, there's whatever, the biggest thing that I have an issue with, and if anyone's watched this channel, they know, because I want those news drops on my Leo Kaiser, which I still don't have, is communication. Just give me just send me look. If you're in a relationship with someone and a couple of days goes by, you're like, you didn't say hi. I mean, what's going on? So at least, drop me an email or send a post saying, hey, we still know about you. We still remember you. This is what's going on. Cool. I can subside for a little longer and be fine. Communication. And I get it. Big company, a lot of people, a lot more than me. But give me the warm and fuzzies. Let me know I'm still here. Let me know what's going on. Thoughts?
That's something I agree with on Megamus with this, because the only thing I saw that was, other than a few photos we had gotten recently, was apparently Evan put on Instagram some videos of the figures in hand. These are not production samples. These are what they're going to look like when you get them. And that's cool that he puts this out, but it's like, it's only on Instagram.
Yeah.
Bro, like, funnel that stuff to YouTube. Most people have links to YouTube. They can normally watch stuff off of YouTube without it saying, oh, well, you have to have this stupid application or sign in or whatever it is. A lot of these guys that are in the business that are doing this, that's great if you have an Instagram, but why the heck don't you have it connected to everything else? That way you can just do like one video and just dump the whole thing and be done with it. Like, here you go. Or if you have a PR guy, hey PR guy, I got these videos, I'm going to send them an email, link it through this, and this, and then be done with it. It's a simple thing. It's a simple way to communicate to the people that are dumping buttloads of money on you to be able to make this product. We want to know what is going on with this product. We want to know how far along it is. How long is it going to be before my bank account gets hit for X amount of money? That's the stuff that I think most people are really wanting to know. So that way they're prepared.
Yeah, I really think with the issues Hasbro Pulse has, I think the communication to the regular fans through the live streams that they are doing is good. With everything they've been having with personnel issues, the move out of Pawtucket, out of Rhode Island in general, that's affecting the number of live streams that we're getting, the number of info drops for the regular line stuff. But I think when it comes to these HasLabs, they really need to step up the game and convey this information. I will use an example that we've talked about in the past: the Cobra Rattler. We pledged, we backed, we paid. There were no updates, no information, nothing was revealed about the figures, the plane, the progress, anything until we got an email that says verify your address, shipping soon. And I think that is a major example of dropping the ball. I know they have a lot going on. I am not trying to say we want every minute detail. But when you're paying that much for a G.I. Joe HasLab and you get no pictures, no update, no, they say no news is good news, but not
Not here.
But it's not for that much money. So you see that they need to let us know. It's like, hey, here's the shots, here's the packaging. We're getting just something to let us know our money is going to be rewarded, our patience is going to be rewarded, our time is going to be rewarded by a quality product, and not, oh, hey, it's shipping soon, here's an email. Could you show us what it looks like? So, I mean, that's my problem, is that, but again, that's also with them facing a lot of uncertainty in their jobs. I believe we all have very specific thoughts on this current CEO and some of the things he's done. And that makes everyone else's job below them that much harder. So I am more than willing to understand that. But understanding is one thing. Paying for something and not getting any information and updates. I don't know if y'all ever saw this. There was a Mighty Orbots Kickstarter for the Mighty Orbots. I did back the basic set. I did not get the Umbra version and the Shadow version. I did not want to pay that much for a Nemesis Orbots. It's what basically it boils down to. But I did want to get one set because the Orbots, I think, are a forgotten treasure of 80s robot animation. The animation was TMS, beautiful show, fun concepts. But I have gotten 4 or 5 updates since it ended in early January. I just got one yesterday about what's going on with production, surveys, shipping notifications, and they showed us final production samples before the Kickstarter ended, that they had gone through and fixed everything, and they had done a limited production run to show people what it looked like. I've gotten 4 or 5 updates in like 2 months. We went 9 months or so on the Rattler and didn't get anything. So, yeah, I really think Hasbro needs to stop and remember that, yes, we collectors they do understand we are a larger part now than we used to be. Does that mean we deserve all the attention? No. They sell toys for kids. That's their bread and butter. We got it. But if I pay $300, don't tell Christy, for a Cobra Rattler, I deserve at least a couple of updates other than, it's on the way soon, check your address.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I mean, and I can see where you're coming from, Dom, when it comes to the Mighty Orbots things, but that's kind of comparing. It's almost apple to oranges there, because you have.
Well, I'm looking
Hasbro,
300.
That's a huge corporation versus. I'm going to say Garage Kit, but I know it's not Garage Kit. But you see what I'm getting at.
They're partnered with Ramen Toy. Right. They're partnered with Ramen Toy. But here's the thing. I'm looking at it like this. it's a $300 toy versus a $300 toy. I have spent the same amount on both toys. Doesn't matter if you're a big company or a small company. You have to make sure your customers are communicated with in these kind of made to order situations.
Correct.
The
I agree.
Patreon people have reached out 4 to 5 times in 2.5 months telling me what's going on. Hasbro just now got a decent update out for Lyle Kaiser. Again, I know Hasbro's got a lot going on. I know the teams have a lot going on. But sometimes it feels like we're to the end of a season and we're plot lines they're hurrying to wrap up. It's like they forget that we're out there and they're like, oh crap, we got to give them something because reasons.
Mhm.
So I'm just saying, if I spend $300 on a Patreon, on a Kickstarter back project, and I spend $300 to Hasbro, I expect Hasbro, being a bigger company, to have teams in place to reach out to me on a timely manner when the updates are necessary, or to keep the fears down of what may be going on.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to get 4 to 5 notifications on a Kickstarter already on a set. So I don't think my expectations are too unreasonable to be given, or at the very least, if they can't reach out to us with videos or emails or something, put up a web page with progress reports and say, hey, if you want to find out what's going on, go to this website. It's like, here's a kick, here is you backed this toy. Here is your authorization code. Go in and look at, and you see our design notes, you see our production notes, like October 3rd, finished XYZ, it's small little things. But we would see a progress of some sort. If you can't reach out to us with a video, make a production log. Just say like, update January 1st, tooling done, mainline production, something, just to let us know that you value our money and us as customers.
That's something I agree with, something like that. They need to do some kind of like updating system, or, like I said, if you log into a website or whatever it is, or, hey, the people are ordering this stuff, they all have Pulse accounts. How about, I don't know, put the Buzz thing on a Pulse? That way they can like click on, oh, this is the update, this is where it's going. It doesn't actually have to be gatekeep behind a thing, but at least just
Oh
say,
yeah,
hey,
I'm
look,
just saying if
this
you
is
if
what
you want to
the
make it,
progress is on this toy.
yeah,
Might entice other people to say, hey, I'll probably back the next one because I'm seeing where it's going.
okay, that's
That
very true.
builds a
I was
whole
thinking,
rapport with your
yeah,
customer right there.
I was thinking since we backed it, it would be part of the experience by us backing it. But you're actually right. You make a lot more sense. If everybody can see it, then even the people that aren't invested can see how it's going, and that might allay their fears on the next one. That's a very good point I did not think of.
I think it'd be a.
Sleepy.
Sorry, Magnus, what did you say?
Sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
He looks a little sleepy.
He probably
Yeah,
is. It's becoming
big,
old
big,
man need a nap time right now around here.
I'll make it even easier. Everyone do their final thoughts on this. I'll do mine last because I got to mute again. Sorry. And corral some Poruses/dogs.
Okay. Go ahead, Don. Do your last thoughts.
my last thoughts is this: the made to order is coming. We've seen the success so far in what they have done. I think there was the Sentinels from the X-Men animated series. There was the Dragon Man. There was the Arctic Kiss. This made to order is coming. They're going to be reusing previous molds that may have been exclusive to HasLabs, or maybe San Diego exclusive that they're going to drag out of the vault and redo for something. We don't know. But we can't gatekeep this new stuff as being a slot taker, as a insult to what we already own, as something unwanted. You may not want it, someone else might. That may be someone's only his tank for their collection because of whatever reason. Don't gatekeep. Don't put down people that like something you don't. Acknowledge that, hey, this isn't for me, but if you like it, I'm glad you're getting it. Support each other in the fandom. Don't be a Richard.
That is something I can 100% agree with. Encourage your fellow collectors to get into the hobby. Help them. If they're wanting something, cool. If you know somebody has something cheaper, cool. But don't crap on them if they're like getting a neutered version of something you already own. There's nothing wrong with that. Because how many times in Hasbro re-release toys without electronics? Re-release toys that had less articulation, or they got rid of a certain gimmick or whatever it was that made the toy worse and made it cheaper, made it better for some people, and also fixes QC issues. So don't get irritated about that kind of thing. I don't think it's cool to do that. Just help each other through this hobby. That's the biggest thing. And that's just kind of how I feel about all this. This made to order stuff, I think, is absolutely amazing, and I think it should continue. If anything, this is the thing that's going to keep the hobbies alive. Go ahead, Megas.
All right. The horses are corralled. My final thoughts are made to order. Great idea. We obviously there's been success with Hasbro Pulse. Otherwise, we wouldn't keep having it. There's issues. There's going to be issues. I mean, with production and costs and all that, and that's debatable. Rightfully so. Either way, it's going to happen. But the big thing that I see people that are upset about, that is, in my opinion, the easiest to fix, is communication. It's as simple as that, communication. And it's just like Don said, I mean, you have I'm not going to use smaller and larger company. I'm going to say a known and less known company. And when one surpasses the other, whether it be which, as someone that's invested in the company, you would want to at least match what they're doing and try and raise the bar. So my shout out would be for Hasbro, for communication, raise the bar. I don't want you to be on par with everyone else. Raise the bar. I want to be able to say that when I'm backing your product, it's because of X, Y, and Z. And Z being, let's just say, communication, and it's because they exceeded. You raise the bar. If you need to hire people, great. Hey, look, there's people that do podcasts that are out here all the time that would be happy to do that. It's one avenue. And they have other people that know people, and people know people, blah, 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 networking. One avenue. But when you put nothing out for months at a time, I'm sorry, sweetie, but you're not thinking about me. Think about me. And yeah, I don't care if I'm the one that backed your $100,000 product or the one that backed your $1 million product. I'm just as entitled to the same communication. Let everyone know. And yeah, you don't know. If by throwing these out, you get more people that back you. Sure. That's the way the social networking works. That's why it's called networking. Communication. Let us know. Thank you.
And I can agree with that 100%. But with that being said, we're going to close for the night. We will catch you guys next week. I'll be probably tired as heck, considering I'm going to be running a shop for pretty much 3 days straight because there have Comic-Con going on around this area, and we have people coming from there down to our shop.
It's really neat because you've got that going on, and then Saturday I have a show in Ohio, but I will recover by Sunday. But that also means that I think we're going to have a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
And
The only way you know this is coming back and seeing us.
Right. I may not be here. I have some things out in the real world going on that may impact me being here. Nothing. It's sad, but it's part of life, and I'll leave it at that. So if I'm not here, I hope y'all have a great discussion. If I am here, I'll tell y'all why you're wrong.
That's okay. Even if you're not here, you can tell us why we're wrong beforehand, and that's fine. And you will definitely contribute beforehand and while you're here if you can make it.
Oh, and I am going to say one thing before we sign off. I got G2 Dinobots. I got G2 Dinobots. My swoop and my sludge came yesterday. So I showed Christy. I've opened them to show Christy, and I said, behold the 90s giving physical form. Lime green and blue swoop and orange sludge.
Don't be hating.
I ain't hating. I ain't hating.
Not you.
Love it.
Not you.
Love it. All right. That being said, we're all going to say goodnight and get the heck out of here.
All right. Not everybody. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys. See you around.
Hasta la fuego.
I got to find those dogs and see what